Right, I'm with Sami Steigmann, who was the guest. Steigmann, who was the guest today at the Jersey Holocaust Memorial service. It's part of it. I mean, it's international today. It goes on all over the world, but every year in Jersey, I think they were saying this is the 11th or 12th. I mean, you're from New York.
Yes.
And only recently you started to talk about it. Relatively recently.
I started talking very recently in 2008, and the person that actually made me realize that I should do it was a sixth grader who sent me a thank you note, and she told me that she will tell my story to her children.
And obviously those are American children from all sorts of origins.
Correct.
Did you get any hostility from any of the children?
No.
Never?
None whatsoever. New York is a very diversified city. It has 171 nationalities, over 800 languages are spoken, and amazingly enough, it's a wonderful city. People get along very well.
Generally speaking, in a country like America, what sort of, because it's a big country, but a bit remote from Europe, do they understand what actually happened, or do you really have to tell them, this is actually what happened?
I don't think that a lot of them do understand, and it's part of my generation and part of the teachers is to teach them what happened, why it happened, that it can happen again under the wrong or the right circumstances, and that's what we try to do. That's what we try to accomplish, and we can change the world primarily through education.
It's very strange. I went to a political talk last night. There was a young guy he's become quite a celebrity, left-wing celebrity in England. He writes for The Guardian. And he was trying to give this message of hope that you can change things. Individuals, you have to organise, you have to get together, but individuals can change things. There is scope for improving things.
And that is exactly my message, because I try to empower them that one person can make a difference in this world. When I go to schools, obviously here I did not have the time to talk about it, but I'm giving an example. The Nazis called the black people, they called them Negroes. And according to them, Negroes are unworthy of living. And yet, one single person destroyed Hitler's dream of a superior race, and that was, everybody knows, Jesse Owens. Okay, in the Olympics in Berlin, in front of the entire world on German soil, he did something that no other athlete until that time accomplished. He won 4 gold medals.
Unfortunately, no nations have got clean hands. I mean, even the British eliminated or expelled all the Jews back in the Middle Ages.
Correct.
So we've all got this peculiar, strange hatred inside us, and I don't understand where it comes from and why it keeps on going. I don't understand it.
I can give you my opinion. You don't have to agree with me, but I think that, for instance, when the new religion, Christianity, was formed, all of them were Jews. So it was not like, for instance, you have in Christianity, you have the Protestants, you have the Catholics, you have the Methodists, you have the Lutherans, or in Jewish life you have the Orthodox, conservative reform. This was a completely different religion created by Jews. How do you separate yourself from them? And that's what they had to demonize the Jewish people. And the only pope that actually admitted that Jesus Christ was not killed by the Jews but by the Romans was the late Pope John Paul II.
In New York, your business, you're retired presumably now from work. And you were a taxi driver to somebody, or a guide? You were recently a guide, but what was your work?
I'm retired, so I give tours. People that visit the city, I show them around the city as a volunteer, and I also volunteer at the Heritage Museum, the Holocaust Museum downtown, at the Museum of Tolerance, and in many other museums. So I'm very involved in volunteering.
Is that that activity, does that, again, I'm very curious to know how people respond to it, because this is it's a very hard message you've got to tell people. This reality of what happened was so horrific. When you say this is what really happened, are they amazed that this happened?
Well, it's a different culture, okay, but to give an example, after I make a presentation, okay, the young kids come to me. They want to hug me, some of them want to shake hands, they take selfies and everything else. It's different than here. They are not as reserved as the young people here in UK.
But at the
and in
museum you
Jersey.
can get all sorts of people from anywhere in the world turn up. Are they ever hostile? No.
I personally have never experienced that.
That's great. That presumably implies that something is getting better.
But I am also at the same time, I also believe in one thing. Not everybody wants to or will get the message. And in my opinion, if I can reach only one child, I've accomplished my goal. Because we cannot change the world, but we can change two people, we can change ourselves and one other child. And that child will change somebody else, and that. It takes time, but hopefully they will make it a better world for themselves, their children and grandchildren.
Have you ever been able to visit Germany in recent years?
No, there was a time that I said I will never do it, but since I'm teaching tolerance and everything else, okay, I have a very good friend of mine. He lives in Germany, and we made arrangements that probably in the next couple of years I will visit him.
One final silly question. You've got an election coming up in America.
Yes.
What would your preference be?
May the best men win. Or a woman.
Thanks very much indeed. It's very nice speaking to you.